Welcome again to Optimal Play. Finally, a new product has come out. It's been a little while. The return to the Circle Undone box. We are here to dive into the player cards, see what our first impressions are. I'm Brandon.
I'm Steven.
And if you weren't aware, been living under a rock, or not constantly refreshing Optimal Play's YouTube page, as you all should be, we got to preview some cards from Edge of the Earth last weekend.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a good time. It was us and lots of other content creators got included in kind of a wave of previews from FFG. So that should be, the next time you see us should be us giving our full look at that box, which will require us to be in this room for quite a while.
Or there could be a new taboo list before then. Sometimes they release one right before you play.
Possible, but the last one, like the only thing that's come out since the last one is this return box, right? So I wouldn't. It feels really fast for another update.
Yeah, I forgot the time in there.
Yeah. I think the pre-Edge of the Earth taboo lists came out like 3 months ago, and there have just been delays. And
nothing has happened.
Exactly. So those will probably, I usually try to get these out to kind of as timely as possible, but since those are going to be some of the last player cards for a year, I might space those out a little bit more. They might be monthly or something. I haven't really decided yet, but I'm gearing up to be mad about multi-class cards again.
It's always good to be prepared.
How are you doing, Steven?
Pretty good. I wanted to shout out as people get their boxes and they're trying to decide between Witches and Silver Twilight Lodge. Mm-hmm. Also consider the Satanic Temple if you live in Texas. For those of you who don't know, the Satanic Temple has announced that they believe abortion is their religious right. And so they're going to fight for Texas women who join the Satanic Temple to be able to have an abortion. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if it'll work, but I super applaud them for trying.
Yeah, it sounds like they're doing good work over there. That's been a lot to watch unfold this week.
Yeah, obviously we're not women, but it's been, kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I don't know how to segue into looking at cards, but I did peek at the insert, the rules insert for the Return to the Circle Undone box. It continues what Forgotten Age was doing, and it is willing to change the, add resolutions and change the campaign book in a way the first few boxes have not. There's also, we're not looking at it on this video, but there's also that sweet tarot deck. Did you follow that, the announcements and things about that?
Yeah, I remember hearing a little bit about it. It sounded really cool, but haven't actually, I sort of forget exactly.
Yeah, I've flipped through it. It's gorgeous. Nice. It's taking all those tarot arts from the agendas throughout the Circle Undone, plus 12 or so new ones, I think, to fill out the tarot deck. And then it is a deck of cards with positive and negative modifiers to your game, and that you can kind of, you can either apply some to your campaign, you can draw some before each game, you can choose to go with just the easier ones if you want to make your game a little easier or a little harder or just more interesting. It seems super cool. I'm excited to play with them.
Yeah. I'm glad that with each return, it seems like they're branching out a little more. I mean, Forgotten Age also changed things a little bit more than the previous ones. Mm-hmm. I like that they're just kind of shaking things up, trying new things.
Yeah, I assume that these boxes are doing well for them. It's like you could see this being a not that good a seller because it's a mostly empty box. There's not actually that many cards in it for its price and stuff. Like the box and tabs and everything is kind of a big part of the appeal. But the fact that they keep kind of upping their game on these and keep throwing in new things and using them to more dramatically change each campaign makes me think, they've been a success, and that's awesome.
It may just be a supply issue. It may be like, I can't find Carcosa, so I'm going to buy Return to Dunwich or something.
That's possible, yeah.
I do think if everything is available to you, I would personally buy all of the cycles before I bought any of the returns.
Yes. I believe I've typed that exact advice into Reddit and stuff when those "what should I buy" threads. Yes, I would go for new content. But this is a good way. Yeah, if you can't find that next cycle you want, or can't find 3 of the packs from it, which is an unfortunate circumstance for a lot of people entering the game. These are a good way to rejuvenate what you do have.
Yeah, and definitely for the completion, for people that are hardcore fans, they're all worth buying.
Oh yeah. I have I have a friend who messages me occasionally. She's like, "I found a great deal on this pack. Do you have this?" And I'm always like, "Yes, I have literally all of it." Your heart's in the right place, but there's no way you can help me with my Arkham collecting. It's done. All right. Anyway, I'm looking down at the first card that we'll be looking at, and so a couple things jump out at me. It's a tarot card. This was a unique mechanic to the Circle Undone, right? So if you're unfamiliar, there's a tarot slot, and they, at least so far, have all had a mechanic where you get to put them into play for free if they're in your opening hand. What's different here, though, from any other return box yet, is this is a brand new one. It's not an alternate level of an existing card. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great new art, and we were just talking about how great tarot art is. Like, this is yet another great tarot.
It's true.
Piece of art.
Yeah. This is the ones on these cards are a little different than the ones on the tarot deck, but they're still beautiful. Yeah. All right, so this is the Star. I actually don't know the right way to read this. Is it like the 18? Star? This, I mean, I know that it's Roman numeral 17. I know that.
Oh, 17. Right.
Oh, I thought you were trying to get me. I screwed that up once in the past. But is it just the Star 17? Is it the Star number 17? I'm not actually. But anyway, regardless, you have been chosen. It says it's a 3-cost level 3 Guardian asset. It's a tarot. Uses the tarot slot and says each asset you control with health gets +1 health. Each asset you control with sanity gets +1 sanity. And then it has the same tarot text we're familiar with. When the game begins, if the star is in your opening hand, put it into play. So, okay.
So it's an amazing Tommy card.
Yeah, it's great, right? Like, honestly, most Guardians at this point are running a decent amount of soak, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, if you're just... I don't know that they necessarily need more soak itself, but I think like that extra damage from Beat Cop or that extra clue from Gret Wagner or something.
You're right.
Is amazing.
Yeah. The even all the way up to like it's in agency backup, right?
Yeah.
I think, allies that use their health and sanity as kind of a resource to trigger their ability is a Guardian thing. So this gives you more of whatever they do, which seems awesome. Yeah, and I just love that this is a tarot card that it's so. The other thing with the tarots we got is they were all, with the exception of the neutral one, which was kind of meh, it was like some extra actions, they were all very, very basic. They were just like +1 to your main stat, except the Survivor one, which was +1 health and sanity, right? So this is starting off into like, okay, this isn't just throw it into every Guardian deck, but if you're playing something with a decent amount of soak, seems great.
Yeah. Carolyn can, have even more sanity to play with and then heal it off.
Sure. Oh, Carolyn's one I haven't thought about for a little while. I did because we previewed it and then played. Then I played with Casey and Kyle on Twitch in the middle of this week. I have played some Daniela from the upcoming box, and because she really uses her own health and sanity as a resource, taking attacks as she goes. I was like, well, you can either kind of address this with a lot of dodges and cancels or with a lot of soak and healing. And I went the soak and healing route. And so this would fit right into that.
Yeah.
This would help. And I was running guard dog and this would be excellent. Very cool. So some of these are one-ofs. And so I think you're the only one with a copy of the next Guardian card. So what do we got?
Oh, so this is one I wasn't necessarily expecting to get upgraded. Hollowed Mirror level 3. So 2 cost. Item Relic Occult Blast, limit 1 per deck. As a reaction, when you play a copy of Soothing Melody, which if you remember is the bonded card that comes with Hollowed Mirror, either change each 2 on it to 3 or shuffle it into your deck instead of discarding it. So I believe the 2 that they're referring to is heal 2 damage or horror.
Yes. That would be it, right? That's a very strange way, to make that happen.
Yeah.
I would have just written like either it heals for an additional damage or shuffle into your deck, but okay, sure.
Yes. Unless there's some other 2 on it that we're forgetting. I don't think so.
No, it doesn't cost 2. Right? They cost 0 to play the Soothing Melodies. Interesting. So this hadn't crossed my mind that the bonded cards, the cards of the bonded mechanic, could be upgraded, but kind of the cards that go with them not need new, like not have upgraded copies.
Mm-hmm.
But they are still kind of upgraded.
Well, but they did that. They did that with Dream Diary, where the 0 XP version of Dream Diary, it's the same card as the 4 XP version.
Oh, that's right. So there is
the bonded card is the same.
There is precedent for that, yeah, with the Dream Diary. You're right. And then honestly, I'm a little caught off guard by the bonded upgrade being in the Circle Undone box, because bonded was mostly a Dream Eaters thing, right? This was like a card that kind of came out in the last pack of the Circle Undone as kind of a teaser. Mm-hmm. Either a teaser or they ran out of space to fit everything in the Dream Eaters, and so they worked backwards. I'm not sure which.
And then this does have a forced on it. I think it's the same one. It's you find 3 copies of Soothing Melody, add 1 to your hand, shuffle the other 2 into your deck. That sounds exactly the same.
Sure. Okay, so I don't have a copy in front of me since there's only 1 in the box we're sharing. What level did you say this was?
3.
Okay. Would I spend 3 experience to essentially, like for the most part, I'm looking at this as you're upgrading your Soothing Melodies to heal any additional damage or horror. I don't think I would use the shuffle in all that much. Like maybe in the Dunwich cycle if I really need to keep my card count high.
Well, I think you use it on like the last copy, right? Like you would always do 3 on like the first couple. But if you have it, let's say your deck gets down to like 8 cards, and you can just keep on shuffling the same copy in, especially in Carolyn. Like,
that last one can keep coming up, and it heals only 2 each time, but you can draw it every few turns, every few draws. Cool. I like the design. I like the way that the upgrade was handled, even though the text is a little wonky. I don't know if I would spend 3 experience on it, but
I think I could see Carolyn maybe. Like it can be a good way to make a lot of money. And
okay. So. Well, I guess if we're taking turns reading cards, I might just get all the tarots. This is how this is gonna play out, because we're moving on to Seeker next, and I've got the World 21. The Journey is Complete. It's another level 3 tarot. The previous one also was, right? Yes. So maybe that's the trend here. We'll see. But this one is a 3-cost asset with that same tarot ability. It enters play and uses your tarot slot. Enters play if it's in your opening hand. This one just says, as a fast effect, if you have 8 or more cards in your hand, exhaust the world to draw 1 card. So it's a big hand seeker tarot.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems great. Right? I'm thinking like, when I played Big Hand Seeker, I used Dream Enhancing Serum as kind of this effect, as a way of like, I have all these cards, so I'm likely to draw duplicates, which let me draw extra cards, right? This seems like a cleaner, more consistent way to get a pretty similar impact with that upside of you could get it into play for free.
Yeah, I mean, the only I don't know if it's quite as strong as the Guardian one, in that like Guardians near the end of a campaign, they've got all these like guns that give like +4 attack. So like they maybe don't miss not having the +1 attack tarot as much. Seekers, like I feel like you still like that +1, especially on the 4 intellect seekers, still pretty important.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that this competes for the tarot slots with the previous tarot card. Interesting. I hadn't actually been playing tarots much recently. Like I had kind of left them in the past, and maybe it was just out of being a little tired of them, because for a while they were going in every deck with some of the first experience I had. So I hadn't really been looking at these that way as like competing with the old ones. But that is an interesting thought.
And definitely it would be a little more flexible if it was like lets anyone draw a card. Because I mean, sometimes as a seeker, it's like I can draw like 5 cards this turn. So like just you getting 1 more like maybe isn't that big of a deal. But if it also had the flexibility of letting someone else draw.
Right.
But that being said, it's still a powerful effect. Like,
yeah, it's a powerful effect, but it's for very specific deck archetypes, right? Like I do think for the most part this is not going to be chosen over the level 1 tarot, just because that is universally applicable, and this one is not. This is for Harvey and other decks going for that big hand archetype, which I have enjoyed the big hand archetype when I played it. So
it's super fun.
Yeah, so I think I will circle back to it and try this out. Nice. So there's another one-off card as the next Seeker card, so I'm the one holding it. So hey, this is a way to switch up, I guess, the who's reading the tarots. We've got the Occult Lexicon, level 3. So this is the upgrade to, I think, the one other bonded card in the Circle Undone cycle, right? It's a level 3, 2 costs, Seeker asset. It's an item, tome, and occult. Takes up a hand slot, limit once per deck. And I'm skipping ahead to the forced effect where it gives you 3 copies of that Bloodright bonded card, 1 in your hand, 2 in your deck. And then it says, when you play a copy of Bloodright, either change each 2 on it to 3, or shuffle it into your deck instead of discarding it. So it works exactly like the upgraded Hallowed Mirror. Steven, can you refresh us on what Bloodright does?
Yes. You draw 2 cards. Mm-hmm. Then, it's complicated. You can discard each of them for a resource, or I think you can maybe pay a resource to do a damage. It's like...
Yeah.
Or you can keep the cards. You kind of have like 3 options.
That sounds right. You draw 2 cards, and as you... I don't even think it has to be the cards you draw, right? I think it's like, then you may discard up to 2 cards for a resource, or spend a resource with them to deal a damage. Right?
Maybe. I'm not 100%, but maybe.
Yeah.
It was...
Yeah, and so now this is 3 cards,
yeah.
Which right there sounds amazing. And then those opportunities to sell them for resources or damage.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid card in that, I mean, the ability to like testlessly do a damage is always super powerful. It does not require engage, so I mean, you can very easily deal with like whippoorwills. There's all kinds of enemies that have like 1 or 2 HP that you just don't have to worry about anymore. I think really the biggest drawback is just that it's a hand slot, which are super valuable in Seekers.
Yes.
So I think if you're going to commit the hand slot to it, you might as well also commit the 3 XP to it.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. If this is in your hand slot, you're considering it to be pretty important as a Seeker. You're really relying on it for enemy management or something, so might as well upgrade it. Yeah, I think for that reason, I'd be less likely to play Occult Lexicon in the first place than Hallowed Mirror. Hallowed Mirror, I just played in my Daniela deck. Like, it's a card I go to often.
Yeah, she doesn't care about losing her accessory slot.
Right. Occult Lexicon I play less often, so yeah, I don't know. But I would upgrade it if I could. Neat. All right, take us into Rogue.
Yeah, so it's Tarot, Knight of Swords, level 3, cost 3, charge ever onward, and it's a skeleton knight on a skeleton horse, so that's pretty sweet. As a reaction, when you would succeed at a skill test, you get +1 skill value for this test. You may discard Knight of Swords to get +3 instead. Interesting.
Oh, weird. Okay, and it's got the same tarot ability. So it gives it... Sorry. So you don't have to exhaust it. So it gives you +1 to all successful skill tests. So if you're playing Succeed by cards, this could be pretty great.
Well, it's good if you're playing Succeed by on a lot of different skills. Because, like, I mean, to use the base Seeker Tarot as an example, that basically gives you +1 towards all your skill tests, because all Seekers do is intellect skill tests,
Sure. Good points.
So this, in that sense, this is paying like 3 times as much, but it has the flexibility of I'm Winifred and I want to shoot sometimes and I want to investigate sometimes and I want to evade sometimes. Probably don't want to do too many will tests. Probably very rarely going to be succeeding at a will test, but it does have that flexibility to work on a lot of different traits.
Right. I don't know how often I would be, other than when I'm in the last round of the game, how often I'd be discarding this from play to get +3. Maybe I would have for Double or Nothing. May it rest in peace.
I actually really like that part, because if you've played, like, if you've really gone all in on that archetype, that there's times when you're like, okay, I'm going to commit these 7 skill cards, and if I don't succeed by 2, like, I'm screwed. Maybe if you're committing 7 skill cards, only an auto fail trips you up, but like, I don't know, maybe there's some really bad skull that's a -8 or something.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, if my quick thinking and my Eureka and like these other 5 skill cards are not going to trigger unless I succeed by 2, of course you'll discard this.
Sure. I guess. Now that, well, yeah, Eureka doesn't have succeed by quick thinking. I
Or
don't know.
okay,
I don't
quick
know if I would
thinking,
discard this.
momentum. There's the rogue one that you have to opportunist.
Like,
you have to succeed by 2 to get that back.
See, if quick thinking succeeds by enough, it just returns to your hand, right?
No, quick thinking gives you an action.
I was thinking of
opportunist returns
yeah.
to your hand. Momentum moves you across the map.
No, momentum boosts your next test.
Oh, I'm thinking of there is one that
there's a lot of these now.
Yeah. So it's like assuming that you've got all of those committed.
Yeah. Right.
If this was the difference between like all of those things firing and not, I would discard it in a heartbeat.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. All right. I like it.
Oh, also, don't forget the shotgun too. If you're trying to kill the boss with the sawed-off shotgun.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime that this is basically +3 damage with something like that. Is that the only weapon that is damage for what you succeed by?
In Rogue it is. The original shotgun was like that too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so that definitely... Although, again, that comes down to, like, well, it's the last round of the game, right? It gives kind of what I was saying. Like, definitely just blow this on your last significant test of the game, for sure. And then Well Connected was... I guess this was a Circle Undone card. Yeah, that was Preston's cycle, huh?
Yeah,
okay. So this is Well Connected level 3. It's a 2-cost rogue asset. It's slotless. It's a condition. Sorry, I don't know if the helicopter that's overhead is picking up on the video. Sorry if so. We do these in one take and we're sticking to it. This says exhaust Well Connected to get +1 skill value to the skill test for every 4 resources that you have. And then it has a new ability that says spend 2 resources to ready Well Connected, limit once per round. So 2 different... I could not tell you if the resource cost of this card has changed from the original version.
It's
but
the same.
Okay, what has changed is that you are getting a skill for every 4 resources instead of 5, right? And then it has this spend 2 resources to ready it, which obviously is a little counterproductive because it reduces your resource hoard. Do you like it?
I am annoyed by the first part just because it makes it harder to remember. It's like, if you have 23 resources... With the original version, it's like, oh, obviously that's +4 to my skill. Mm-hmm. With this one, it's gonna like take you like 5 extra seconds.
The math is like that much a little less intuitive. Yeah, that's true.
So I kind of wish it just had the second part. But yeah, I think it's I could see in like Preston, this being worth it. Yeah. One thing to remember with Preston is only the money that is taken off of his inheritance counts towards the first part. So if it's later in the scenario, so you spend the first few turns of the scenario clicking money off of that onto your cash so that it counts for Well Connected. When you get to the second half of the scenario, you don't want to have to spend an action to do that every time. So you can use that money on the inheritance to do the second part, and then you never have to take the action to move it off the inheritance.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is a card I threw into a couple decks and never felt like it was that good at level 0. I don't think that what I'm seeing here changes that, but I've never really leaned into like big money Preston specifically. I've kind of played very little Preston. Maybe it's because when the Circle Undone was out, you super called dibs on it.
I love Preston.
You played.
I did really enjoy Big Money Safina as well.
Interesting.
Because she can make a lot of money with like hot streaks.
Right. Yeah.
She doesn't have the same thing where she can't like ready this for free with like an inheritance, but you know, I think this would be a maybe medium to lower priority upgrade for a big money like Safina or Jenny, but I think a little bit higher priority for big money Preston.
Yeah, 3 experiences is I feel like it's a little expensive for what this gives you.
But do remember like Rogue's end of a campaign, you know, if they got the Obel or something, like
sometimes they've got that experience to burn, no doubt. All right, another tarot next.
All right, this is the Mystic Tarot, 3-cost, 3 XP, the Hierophant. 5, your true master awaits. You have 1 additional arcane slot.
Ooh.
Your arcane slots can be used to hold cards that take up accessory slots and vice versa. Whoa.
Interesting. So this gives you a total of 4 accessory / arcane slots. Right?
Yeah.
That seems great on its face. I don't know how often you're gonna use this to like run a lot of accessories in those slots, but
Well, like one thing it means is that, let's say you draw 2 Holy Rosaries early on, you can just play both of them. And like, if later there's 3 spells you want to play, just put some horror on one of those Holy Rosaries or something. And
that's true. Yeah. Although if your opening hand is this tarot card and 2 Holy Rosaries, like you're getting a slow start.
well, this plays for free if it's in your opening hand.
Yeah, I know. But you still have nothing that does anything. Very, very cool. I think that's a great example of one way that you would use put the accessory slot down. I think I'm looking at this more often as this is like, you can play practically unlimited spells in arcane slots, right? You can finally have that suite of an attack spell, an investigate spell, an evade spell, and some other utility spell. That sounds great. I think I'd be more likely to run this and just cut, like not run relics, and just have this. What this is you have 4 arcane slots, which sounds amazing.
I think I would still play at least 1 Holy Rosary, but yeah, it's
a good card, I've heard. Yeah.
If I mean, if you happen to draw 4 spells before your Holy Rosary, you're probably not going to say no to that.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of arcane slots, next is Sign Magic.
I was literally about to say I'm never going to play Sign Magic again.
Well, let's see if that holds true. This is a 3-cost level 3. Wait, has every card been level 3?
I think so.
Literally every card we've looked at from this entire box has been level 3 so far. Weird. Okay, well, Sign Magic is level 3. It's a 3-cost ritual and talent asset. It's fast. It says you have 1 additional arcane slot, which can only be used to hold a spell or ritual asset. And it says, as a reaction, after you activate an action ability on a spell or ritual asset, exhaust Sign Magic. Activate an action ability on a different spell or ritual asset you control without paying its action cost.
That's cool.
So the last Sign Magic, I think, wasn't fast, and it basically just had this first ability, right? It was converting your hand slot into an arcane slot.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Okay.
It might have been fast. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't think it was, but I also don't think it was a very good card. So
yes,
I'm almost looking at this as a brand new option.
Yes.
This is pretty cool, though. As long as I'd almost be tempted to run this with the tarot card or something, because you need an array of spells so that when you use one, you're likely in a situation where you want to also use another.
Yeah, well, so with 3 arcane slots, what that lets you do is 1 attack spell, 1 investigate spell, and 1 like money or support spell. And I think it should be pretty easy. If there's an enemy, it's like, okay, I attack and then I hit my alchemical transmutation, or I investigate and then I use clarity of mind to heal some of my horror. So I think with 3, it shouldn't be that hard to do 2 different ones.
That's, alchemical transmutation is a great call out, as that's a great card to put with this, because you can just, until it's out of charges, you can just always use that extra action on that. There's no situation to it. It's not a problem. There's no clues on your location or no enemies.
And if you're double arcane research, that's kind of true of clarity of mind as well. There's like, at least a couple times when you always have something to do with that.
I'm curious, what's your read on, I don't know if we've seen an ability phrased quite like this. Does this extra action, or does this like bonus spell trigger provoke attacks of opportunity if there's an enemy on you? This says to activate an action ability without paying its action cost.
So Daisy, I believe, takes attacks of opportunity when she like takes tome actions for free. So
because that's not free. She has an extra action that can only be used to trigger tomes, right? So
that's true.
That's different. This is not an extra action. This is a reaction instructing you to activate an action ability. I will have to go to the internet for that one.
So it's activating the ability without paying its cost. I guess I would. I'm gonna bet no attack of opportunity, but I'm not sure.
That is, I'd say that's like 70% that's what I would bet on too, but it's not what I would like say with a lot of confidence.
And then to further expose our ignorance,
we're always looking to do that. Yeah.
Name a ritual asset this would be good with.
Well, I mean, it has to be a ritual asset in an arcane slot, right? I don't
No,
even...
no.
No, it does, because it's an arcane slot.
Oh, I see
So,
what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was actually kind of... I assume the original Sign Magic had that text.
No, I don't.
I don't know if I was going to bring it up, but I was looking at that and I was like, isn't just about every arcane slot spell or ritual? Like, what cards does this exclude with that text? I have no idea. I think rituals are probably some things like, isn't Rite of Sanctification a ritual, not a spell? And kind of some of those things that maybe have... I guess Rite of Sanctification is not a passive effect. Like, I feel like spells have action abilities, and some of the spells that have more reactive or more passive abilities. I don't know if there's any spells that have pure passive abilities, but anyway, those tend to be rituals. But I could be way off. I don't know. Let us know in the comments what you make of this slight limitation on Sign Magic. I don't know. But I do know there's one more, well, I guess at least one more tarot card. We're at the last class. What do we got?
Well, I mean, we know that the neutral tarots are the best ones, so...
Hopefully
there's more of those.
So far.
So this is the Survivor Tarot. 3 cost, 3 XP, 9 of rods. Every trial a lesson. And as a reaction, when you draw a non-weakness encounter card, exhaust 9 of rods. Cancel all of that card's effects and shuffle it into the encounter deck. Then draw another card from the top of the encounter deck.
What? This lets you take 2 stabs at every encounter draw you make? Right? As long as it's 1 per round, because it just exhausts to do it.
Yep.
Whoa, what is the Seeker ally that does this effect but has like secrets or something, has like a limiter on...
Oh, so there's one that... There's a Seeker ally that you can spend clues to cancel encounter cards, and I can't...
And you draw another one or something. Like, that's never felt very good, because it's not reducing the number of encounter cards you have to suffer through. But if every single time you draw one, you can be like, no thanks, Ancient Evils, I'll take whatever's next. That seems amazing.
Yeah. I mean, so let's see. So Calvin can look for stuff that hurts him.
I was just going to say, so how is this for Calvin? you love Calvin. That's every red
Calvin's
card.
Great.
That's every red card or spirit traded card. That's where we go.
Calvin can look for stuff to hurt him. Yorick and Silas can look for things that they can hurt. Stella can look for things to fail at. Seems like there's a lot of uses.
Another tie-in with a card that we previewed from Edge of the Earth, Fend Off, which lets you... it's a card that triggers when you draw an enemy, or when an enemy spawns at your location. This lets you be more likely to find enemies to fend off. I love this. I think this is the best tarot card we looked at. This is incredibly strong and fun. Yeah.
And there were a lot of survivors didn't even use their tarot slot. Like, Calvin likes the Survivor Tarot and Yorick likes the Guardian Tarot, but I feel like a lot of the other ones didn't really play a tarot.
Right. I mean, the level 1 Survivor Tarot is probably the least interesting, because bonuses to skills help you win the game, and bonuses to health and sanity just help you not lose the game. And generally, you want your deck to win more than not lose, if that makes sense. And so, yes, that was always, I think, the underwhelming tarot card. But yeah, screw that card. We got the 9 of Rods now. I'm eager to play this one. And then we got Trial by Fire. It's a 2-cost level 3 Survivor event that has 2 wild icons, notably. That's great. And then it's spirit traded. Fast, play only during your turn. Until the end of your turn, set the base value on each of your skills to 5, or the base value of one of your skills to 7. You never really know what you're capable of until something's trying to eat you. So this is an alternate version of an existing card. I recognize Trial by Fire. I don't know that I ever really played it. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it set the base value of one of your skills to 5.
And was it so fast?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that would be terrible if it set your skills and you only had it for 2 actions.
Yeah. This is fine. This is... If you're trying to do something like fight 3 times or investigate 3 times, setting your skills to 7 or your that skill to 7 is practically as good as like Will to Survive or something, right? Like which is the core set card that just lets you skip chaos draws, like guaranteeing you'll pass. Setting your skills to 7 also gives you a pretty good shot at passing. So it's a cheaper version of that. But I don't know. It's not a style of Survivor event that I've really played much. What about you?
It's more my play style because I mean there's two investigators for this. There's Calvin and Preston, and
Okay.
so for Calvin, it's boosting all of your skills by 5, or if like you're only fighting or investigating, it's boosting all of them by 7.
By 4 and 6, right? Preston has ones.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking Calvin. Sorry. So yeah, so like it's boosting a ton, um, and then with Preston, it's not boosting quite as much as Calvin, but the money is nothing to him.
Yeah.
And he has 5, 4, 5, 6, whatever, rogues pull actions out of their ass. Like, so getting that 7 fight or whatever, like, I mean, with Fire Axe, for example, if you're playing a style of Preston where you kind of keep your money low.
Doesn't Preston only get Survivor to level 2?
That's a good point. That is a problem.
This is like the 4th ever Survivor card that Preston cannot play. There are not very many high level Survivor cards.
Got it. So yeah, this might only be a Calvin card.
Yeah. And even then, I don't know if it would be a 3 XP priority for me.
Yeah, because Calvin doesn't have a ton of good ways to do more than 3 actions, right? I can't really think of any.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's sure no 9 of rods. I mean, we went from these 2 Survivor cards have been my favorite in the box, and then a pretty underwhelming one. But that's fine. They can't all be winners.
Yeah.
We're over to neutral now. I know that there are some differences in the cards we're holding. Do you have Moon Pendant next?
Yep.
All right, give us Moon Pendant.
Moon Pendant. 2 costs. What are these 2 pips? What does that mean?
Oh, it's level 2. Oh no.
Level 2.
The gimmick is over. I really thought it was intentional.
So this is an item and a charm, not a tarot. You have 1 additional tarot slot.
Oh.
What? And then each non-weakness tarot asset in your hand or committed to a skill test gains 2 wilds. And when the game begins, if it's in your opening hand, put it into play, which is a rule that we saw with tarots, but we also saw it with the ally that gave you a tarot slot that came out with Circle Undone originally.
Right. Oh, interesting. So yeah, this has the tarot ability.
And this is an accessory slot.
This is cool. So I mean, this ability, giving all your tarot assets 2 wild icons. I didn't even really dwell on this, but one big weakness of the previous tarot cards is they had no icons. So when you already had one in play, or drew it and couldn't afford it or something, there was no alternative option. Looking back at this pack, these new ones all don't have icons either. Giving them all 2 wild icons does kind of allow you to run a few extra tarot cards and not have that massive downside to it. Are you gonna give up your accessory slot for it? It's a lot.
Yeah. I played a little bit of the ally that gives an extra tarot. I think that one was 4 XP. So this feels like a little bit better costed from an XP span point.
Yeah.
Like I think just spending 4 XP to get that extra tarot slot, especially given that all the tarots also cost XP, wasn't really worth it. So this is at least a little bit cheaper way to get that. So,
and the tarots are not unique. So even if you're not, like, this is interesting, even if all you're doing is getting 2 copies of the tarot you want, right? Because you could run them both.
Yeah.
And they probably vary in how useful that is, but you could.
I think a great example is like Tommy. Like, why not take 2 of the star? Maybe you even take 2 of the star and 1 of the +1 fight tarot.
Yeah.
And then, you get your beat cops, up to like being able to do like 6 damage.
Yeah. That seems good.
And, if you draw your 3rd tarot, it's a unexpected courage. And what does Tommy care about an accessory slot?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. For Guardians, this card is a great design. I love the way that this kind of makes tarot, like, you know, tightens up that weakness of tarot cards. Yeah, the accessory side it's just a steep cost. Eager to try it. I'm really interested to see if like tarot decks are a thing. I don't know. There's a couple more cards here too. We might even see more that ties them together. But running the ally and this and tarot cards, maybe is that a deck archetype? Maybe not. Never mind. All right.
I think there's like a mystic deck archetype where like every slot is used for something else. So like you play the mystic tarot slot, which lets you play this in your spell slot. You know, just little musical chairs with your slots.
Sure. Well, won't call you a fool for that, but I will read The Fool. So there's one more tarot card. Maybe this turns me around on the Moon Pendant. It's a neutral tarot card. We are back to level 3, thank goodness. It's 3 cost, tarot slot, tarot ability, free if it's in your opening hand. When you play a card, exhaust the Fool, reduce that card's cost by 1. I don't think I read the subtitle. Unlimited potential feels right for that. Wow. Well, this is pretty exciting. This is maybe one of the better econ cards that has been printed for Arkham.
Yeah, so let's see. Lone Wolf is sort of like this, but only in solo, sometimes 2-player.
Yeah, and then it gives you an extra resource every turn. Yeah. And this is maybe not as, well, yeah. It's not as good as just getting an extra resource because you get the extra resource in rounds where you don't play a card.
Yeah.
And you don't get that here. But I'm looking, this is like a quasi Rite of Sanctification, which is great. Rite of Sanctification discounts your a card by 2 each round, and there's a lot of pros and cons to both. This cannot be shared with allies like that can. But that requires you to run all this other support, get blesses in the bag, not draw them all in one freak accident where you get +10 to a test and now can't play your Rite of Sanctification. And this can just be free, not even an action to play. Yeah, it's probably great. It's probably great.
Yeah, I mean, it combos well with Moon Pendant because like one of the problems with economy is that if you draw it late in the scenario, it's generally a waste.
Yeah.
So if you're playing Moon Pendant, then at least this is an unexpected courage if you draw it late in the scenario. Yeah, like how many other, like if you're not playing Moon Pendant, there's a lot of other good tarot options. Like, I don't know if this would be, above those.
Yeah. But before we're done with tarots, one card that I feel like has come out since the tarots that has been mentioned in kind of our tarot focused conversation is Studious, right? This is the Seeker permanent that increases your opening hand. Yeah. So for that, that's level 3, so pretty much only Seekers can play it, I think. But any tarot, I feel like if anyone is going to do kind of the tarot deck, it could be a Seeker for that reason, because increasing your opening hand to 7, you can with Mulligan see 14 cards in your deck. You're gonna find some tarots.
Yeah, and if you can hit the nuts, you could theoretically put down Moon Pendant and then multiple tarots.
Yeah,
because you choose the order that you put them down. So you put down Moon Pendant first, and then the tarots.
Yeah, totally. And Seekers have plenty of cards that cost resources that they'd love to discount with the Fool. I think this would make it in there.
The other thing, not quite as good as Studious, but Guardians also have a slight advantage with stick to the plan. You are taking 3 non-tarots out of your deck as you draw your opening hand and your mulligan. So that increases their odds a little bit too.
Interesting. Yeah. Just a little bit, but yeah. So I think you're holding the 1 copy of the Last Player card.
Ooh, Observed, a 4 XP permanent. So we're going the other direction.
And it's neutral, right?
Neutral, blessed, 1 per investigator. Before setting up each game, draw 3 random cards from the tarot deck. So that's talking about the tarot deck that came with Return.
Oh.
Not the tarots we've just been reviewing.
There's an actual player card that relates to that optional tarot deck, and I didn't see that coming. Huh.
So draw 3 random cards in the tarot deck and choose 1. Place the chosen card in front of you in the upright position.
That means the beneficial position, yeah.
Each other investigator ignores its effects. Shuffle the rest back into the tarot deck.
Okay. Man, I flipped through the tarot deck. I don't have a strong grasp of the kinds of things it does, but I think a lot of them were things like on your first willpower, or like I think there was one for each skill that says like on your first test of that skill each round, get +1 to that skill. That kind of, so it's like a little like not quite as good as just +1 to that skill. And look at like I don't know if they're strong enough for this to be
for
to be for experience, yeah. But yeah, I just haven't. The fact that you're looking at 3 of them and picking one means you're never gonna get stuck with like, okay, I'm a guardian and it gave me I got the agility tarot. At least that won't happen. And there's the 4 skills are only 4 of the somewhere in the low 20s tarot cards that are in that deck. So there's plenty of other effects. I'd have to look at that. I don't really know what to do with this. That's super interesting. I didn't expect that. Okay, I guess we just move on. It's a cool card. I like that it exists. I don't know. I do know we're not going to look forward to what we have left to look at because it's basic weaknesses.
Yeah.
I think I'm the one holding a one-off basic weakness between the two of us, and it is damned. A basic weakness. It's permanent. Only the second permanent basic weakness, I think, after Indebted.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's been a while since we've seen one. This says, before setting up each game, draw a random card from the tarot deck and place it in front of you in the reverse position. Each other investigator ignores its effects. So this is the opposite of the card we just looked at, where the detrimental side of a tarot card is going to affect you each game. This I actually like way better than that because I think having a variable basic weakness like this over the course of a campaign sounds just fun and wacky, and it doesn't cost you any experience to incorporate the tarot into your game in that way. Any thoughts?
So the tarot deck, then you can play it outside of Circle Undone, right? Like you can have observed in that weakness.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You're welcome to use the tarot deck in any campaign. It is most thematically appropriate in Circle Undone, but yeah.
I haven't really looked at them yet, so no thoughts. But that's fun.
Yeah, I should have thought they should have been on this table so that if in this event we could flip through them real quick and see what the highlights are. But they're not, and such is life sometimes. I think this is cool though. This is like, I've said this before when we look at basic weaknesses. Like my excitement level from basic weaknesses has a ceiling now because this is one of 40 random options, right? that my decks get chosen, or that my basic weaknesses get chosen from, and so like I'm not gonna see this very often.
Now, if they really wanted to do the exact reverse of observed, it should be draw 3 random tarots, hand them to the biggest troll you know, have them pick the most annoying of the 3 ones.
Yeah.
And then you have to play with that.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe like send a DM to Maxine and she like, which tarot card do I get, Max?
So that could be a house rule.
Yes.
Like whoever the asshole at your table is, like they get to pick your weakness tarot.
I love that actually. Yeah. All right. Speaking of tarot related weaknesses, what's our last one?
All right. 3 costs assets. The Devil. 15, your shadow hungers.
That's cool.
You cannot play assets other than the Devil 15 while it is in your hand. So the original tarot weakness was you cannot commit cards. This is you just can't play assets. That seems worse. If the Devil 15 is drawn in your opening hand, you cannot replace it. Okay, so it's the same as the Tower in that sense. So this is worse, but costs 1 less compared to the Tower.
Yeah. And the Tower's harsh. It's a tough basic weakness.
Yes, I am never happy to see the Tower.
No, and so this probably is too.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's 1 less of a resource tax, but having this in your opening hand and saying you can't play assets, that's harsh.
And just as a reminder, if there's anyone who hasn't played with the Tower, the way that tarot basic weaknesses work is that you have to play them as your tarot slot to get rid of them. So if you already have the tarot out, you have to overwrite it.
Right, that's another downside, yeah.
If you get this first before your good tarot, you can overwrite it with your good tarot, but then it goes in your discard pile and you could draw it again. So like even that doesn't feel great. It's often the case that if you have the tower, you just don't want to play any tarots.
It's true, yeah. Because you'll learn that you have the tower or now the devil at your level 0 deck in a campaign, right? Before you've decided to buy any tarots, and you're just like, well, I guess I'm taking my deck in a different direction. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it seems brutal. I love damned, don't love the devil. Well, this has come full circle from the Temple of Satan to the Devil Tarot card, right?
Yes, this devil is not protecting people in the same way.
Well, so other than the misprint where they took one of the pips from the moon pendant and put it on observed, like I think that the level 3 theme is fun. What else do you think about the box as a whole?
This is really cool. I think yeah, I love that they're willing to like put new cards in Return Box. I mean, kind of my first reaction was honestly, I can't wait to see Return to Innsmouth and what they do with the Blessed Curse mechanic.
Yes, that's honestly, since Innsmouth ended, I love the Blessed Curse mechanic so much that I've been looking forward to the Return to Box since then. So I hope that this means that we don't just get alternate versions of those Blessed Curse cards.
I feel like it would be hard to go back from this to like, oh, it's just Temp Fate level 2, you know, like.
Yeah, you're right. And this could have been accomplished with, it would have not been identical, obviously, but the Guardian Tarot in here could have been a level 3 version of the original and just been combat plus something, plus all your assets have a health or whatever. But I'm glad they didn't take the kind of the obvious way out. And, for the first time in Return Box, we got cards with brand new arts, all that stuff. It's very exciting. Super stoked about that. I still think Nine of Rods is by far the highlight of this box. I think that's a card that I'm going to be playing all the time. Letting a survivor for 3 experience start just picking their encounter cards every round. Sounds awesome.
I am really, really going to enjoy every time you use it and you get a worse encounter card. Like, it's going to be so good.
That's the trap, right? Is that this is like... this is not always going to be serving you well. But I'm okay with it. I think it seems fun.
Definitely fun.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us for these first impressions. Yeah, we'll be back. It seems like Edge of the Earth has started coming out actually in other parts. We're in the United States, so we are definitely in the heart of the shipping issues.
They're releasing it on the edge of the Earth first, right?
Oh, is that right?
And then America is the center of the Earth, so I assume it's going to slowly get closer to us.
The world does revolve around us. You're right. Yeah. That makes perfect sense, actually. I wonder. Obviously, we're talking 2 years ahead, but do you think there will be a Return to Edge of the Earth box? It's a little bit of a different fit with the campaign and player card boxes being big products that all come out at once now.
I think, honestly, the clue will be what type of box Edge of the Earth comes out in. Because if it comes out in a great storage box, then maybe they're not doing Return. But if it's not in a great storage box, then they're 100% doing it.
Yeah, and we do know that it comes out in like sturdier, kind of nicer boxes than we've seen with the deluxe expansions and things for a while. That's a good question. Will it come with tabs for the encounter sets, right?
Yeah.
If it does, then there's probably no return box. I think you're onto something. Very cool. I'm stoked. Let's turn off the camera and play some Arkham.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you for watching. We'll be back soon. Till then, be optimal.